Welcome to Warhammer 40k 8th edition Battle Report 39, 2,000 points, Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch versus Dark Angels. This is the big rulebook, Maelstrom of War mission Contact Lost, and we will be rolling for a random map deployment today. Let's begin by taking a quick look around the board at where the objective markers have been placed. Beginning in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 2 has been placed right here next to this ruin. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 1 has been placed right here next to this ruin. In this third 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 6 has been placed up here next to this crater. On the other side of the board, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 5 has been placed here next to this ruin. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 4 has been placed right here next to this ruin. And finally, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 3 has been placed up here next to this crater. For this battle report, the Dark Angels will have 8 command points available, and the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will have 8 plus D3 thanks to their Warlord Kairos Fateweaver. So now we will roll for the D3 extra command points, getting just 1 extra, so the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will have 9 command points total. And now we will roll for the random map deployment, rolling a 4, which is Hammer and Anvil. So on a roll of a 1, 2, or a 3, the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy on the near side, and the Dark Angels will deploy on the far side. On a roll of a 4, 5, or 6, it'll be the opposite, so Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch on the far side, and Dark Angels on the near side. And so here's the roll. Rolling a 2, so Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will deploy on the near side, and Dark Angels will deploy on the far side. Now on a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy first. On a 4, 5, or 6, the Dark Angels will begin to deploy first. Rolling a 1, so the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy first. We will be back after the deployment. So the deployment is now finished. The Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch began to deploy first, but the Dark Angels finished deploying first, and so the Dark Angels will go first unless the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch are able to successfully seize the initiative. Let's take a quick look around the board at where each army placed all of their units. Beginning with the Dark Angels deployment, left to right from the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch perspective, we have the first squad of Tactical Marines, the Predator sitting on objective marker 2. In the back, we have the first Nephilim jet fighter, the Land Raider Redeemer with the Warlord Belial and the squad of 5 Deathwing Knights embarked inside. In the back, we have the second Nephilim jet fighter, the second squad of Tactical Marines, and they are currently controlling objective marker 3, right behind the Land Raider, the Ravenwing Talon Master, the third squad of Tactical Marines, and finally the squad of 6 Ravenwing Black Knights. Moving over to the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch deployment, going from left to right as well from the Dark Angels perspective, we have the first squad of 6 Screamers. Behind them is the first Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, the first squad of 10 Pink Horrors sitting on objective marker 5, the second squad of 10 Pink Horrors. This squad has the instrument and the demonic icon. The third squad of 10 Pink Horrors sitting on objective marker 6. The second squad of 6 Screamers. The second Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings. The Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe. And finally, the Warlord Kairos Fateweaver. For a full overview of both armies and all of the war gear that they are bringing, please check out the pregame show, which was released at the beginning of the group. The link for the pregame show will be in the description down below. And now the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch will attempt to seize the initiative on a 6, and they successfully do. So let's go into Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch turn 1. Going into Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch turn 1, a reminder that the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch have 9 command points available, and the Dark Angels have 8 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Chaos Daemons of Tzeentch draw 1 new tactical objective card, and they drew Kingslayer. Score D3 victory points if your opponent's Warlord has been destroyed during this or any previous turn. Going into the movement phase, this squad of 10 Pink Horrors sitting on objective marker 6 will remain still. This squad of 10 Pink Horrors sitting on objective marker 5 will also remain still. This squad of 6 Screamers will move up to 16 inches up the board, and they will finish their movement like so. The third squad of 10 Pink Horrors will now move up the board up to 6 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's their advance roll, rolling for 4 additional inches, but getting to add 1 thanks to the instrument for 5 inches of advance and up to 11 inches of total movement. Right to there. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will also declare an advance. advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling for 3 additional inches for up to 15 inches of total movement. And you will finish like so. The second squad of 6 Screamers will now move up the board up to 16 inches. And they will finish their movement like so. The second Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will now move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling for 2 additional inches for up to 14 inches of total movement. And he will finish his movement like so. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will now move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling for 6 additional inches for up to 18 inches of total movement. Right to there. Kairos Fateweaver will now move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling for 2 additional inches for up to 14 inches of total movement. And he will finish his movement like so. Finally, the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab will move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling for 3 additional inches for up to 15 inches of total movement. And he will finish his movement like so, sitting on objective marker 1. Going into the Psychic phase, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin by using the stratagem Locus of Conjuration for 2 command points, bring them from 9 down to 7. Use this stratagem at the start of your Psychic phase, select a Tzeentch demon character from your army. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll failed Psychic tests made for friendly Tzeentch demon units within 6 inches of that model. And this stratagem will be placed onto the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab, so it will affect himself, the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword, and the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings right next to him. And so we will begin with this squad of 10 pink horrors attempting to manifest Smite from the demonic icon into the squad of 6 Ravenwing Black Knights, because they are the closest enemy unit within 18 inches and also visible. So rolling 1 dice looking for a 5 or a 6, and it fails to go off. So now this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto this squad of 6 Ravenwing Black Knights. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 6, and it passes with a 7. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 2 mortal wounds. So 1 Ravenwing Black Knight will be killed off, since they have 2 starting wounds apiece, and now the squad is down to 5 models. Kairos Fateweaver will now attempt to manifest Gaze of Fate. And Gaze of Fate has a warp charge value of 6, and it passes with an 11 thanks to +2 from the Psychic test bonus. So later this turn, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will have 1 free dice reroll. For his second Psychic power, Kairos Fateweaver will attempt to manifest Smite onto this squad of Tactical Marines. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 7, and it passes with an 8, thanks to +2 from the Psychic test bonus. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 2 mortal wounds. So 2 regular Tactical Marines will go down, leaving 3 left alive in the squad. And for Kairos' third Psychic power, he will attempt to manifest Bolt of Change into the squad of 3 Tactical Marines. And Bolt of Change has a warp charge value of 8. And that will pass with a 14, thanks to +2 from the Psychic test bonus. But it will also cause Perils of the Warp. And on a 2-up, thanks to his Warlord trait, Kairos Fateweaver will ignore the Perils, and he will not. So first, resolving the D3 mortal wounds from the Perils, and it will do 3 mortal wounds. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 13, and then it will also cause D3 mortal wounds to the Tactical Marines, and it will cause just 1. But the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use 1 command point, going from 7 down to 6, for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll, and so now it will do 2 mortal wounds. So the final regular Marine and the Sergeant will be killed off, leaving only the Plasma Cannon alive in the squad. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will now attempt to manifest Smite into the Land Raider Redeemer. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 8, and it passes with an 8. It will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. And the Dark Angels will use the stratagem the Armor of Contempt for 1 command point, bring them from 8 down to 7. Use this stratagem when a Dark Angel's vehicle from your army suffers a mortal wound. Roll a D6 for that mortal wound and each other mortal wound inflicted on this model for the rest of the phase. On a 5-up, that mortal wound is ignored. So looking for 1 5-up, which fails. So the Land Raider Redeemer will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 15. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Rope will now attempt to manifest both Smite and Infernal Gateway onto the Predator, because it is the closest enemy unit and also visible, and also within 12 inches. Beginning with Smite, which has a warp charge value of 9. And it will pass with a 9, thanks to +2 from the Psychic test bonus. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. So the Predator will fall from 11 starting wounds down to 10. Now for Infernal Gateway, which has a warp charge value of 8. And that will also pass with a 9. It will only affect the Predator, so D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 1 mortal wound. So the Predator will fall from 10 wounds down to 9. Finally, the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab will attempt to manifest Flickering Flames onto this squad of 10 pink horrors, and it will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Land Raider Redeemer, beginning with Flickering Flames, which has a warp charge value of 5. And that will pass with an 8, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. And now for Smite, which now has a warp charge value of 10, and it will pass with a 14, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus and +1 from the Everstab. So it will do D6 mortal wounds, and it will do 3 mortal wounds. So the Dark Angels are looking for 3 5-ups, and they fail all 3. So the Land Raider Redeemer will fall from 15 wounds down to 12. And now the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will use the stratagem Magical Boon for 1 command point, bring them from 6 down to 5. Use this stratagem at the end of your psychic phase. Select a Tzeentch Demon's Psyker from your army. It can immediately attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power this turn. And the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will attempt to manifest a Boon of Change onto this squad of Screamers. And Boon of Change has a warp charge value of 7, and it passes with a 9, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. So rolling a D3 on the table, rolling a 3, which is Iron Skin +1 Toughness. So until the start of the next Chaos Demons of Tzeentch psychic phase, those Screamers will be toughness 5 instead of toughness 4. Moving on to the shooting phase. This squad of 10 pink horrors is the only unit that will be able to fire. These 6 will fire their coruscating flames into the squad of Ravenwing Black Knights. These 4 on the end over here will fire their coruscating flames into the Land Raider Redeemer, because those 4 cannot see the Ravenwing Black Knights. So beginning with the 6 models firing into the Ravenwing Black Knights, 2 shots apiece for 12 shots total, hitting on 5s since they advanced, re-rolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince. Getting 6 hits, 2 re-rolls, and 1 cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, failing to hit, and then the 2 re-rolls, getting 1 additional hit, for 7 hits total. Strength 3 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 5s, but adding 1 to wound rolls thanks to Flickering Flames. So actually wounding on 4s. And this dice right here on the end should actually be a 4 because it was knocked over partway through the roll. But either way, it actually wounds thanks to Flickering Flames, so getting 6 wounds. No AP, so 6 3-up armor saves, passing 4 and failing 2. And the Dark Angels are going to use 1 command point, going from 7 down to 6 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll, and still rolling a 2, so it still fails. Only 1 damage apiece, so 1 Ravenwing Black Knight is killed off. Going into the assault phase, there are 2 charges to declare. First is this squad of 6 Screamers declaring a charge solely into the Ravenwing Black Knights, and the second charge will be from this squad of 6 Screamers charging solely into the Land Raider Redeemer. And we will begin with this charge. So Overwatch from the Plasma Talons from the Ravenwing Black Knights, of course, and they will fire supercharged shots, and we will begin with the Sergeant and then move down the line in order. So beginning with the Sergeant, 2 shots, hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s thanks to standing still, failing to hit. Regular Black Knight number 1, 2 shots hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s thanks to standing still, and getting 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Failing to hit, but no 1s. Regular Black Knight number 2, 2 shots hitting on 6s, failing to hit. Regular Black Knight number 3, 2 shots hitting on 6s, and failing to hit. The Screamers are about 8.5 inches away, so they need an 8-inch charge to make it within an inch. Rolling double 1s, which definitely fails, but Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use 1 command point, going from 5 down to 4, for a command reroll, and they are also going to use their Gaze of Fate reroll to reroll both dice. And here's the reroll, getting 11 inches. And they will make it into combat like so. None of them had to go through a crater. Finally, the charge from this squad of Screamers into the Land Raider Redeemer. Just like the other squad of Screamers, they are 8.5 inches away, which means they are too far away for the Land Raider Redeemer to fire its Flamestorm cannons, which means only the Twin Assault Cannon can fire. 12 shots hitting on 6s. No rerolls, getting just one hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5, thanks to Boon of Change, means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So this Screamer right here will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1. And now for their charge range, needing 8 inches and getting 9. And they will finish like so. Moving into the fight phase, we need to begin with Locus of Trickery. Rolling 2 dice to take away the highest. Hit rolls of 1 will not count. And so we will begin with this squad of Screamers against the Ravenwing Black Knights, and they will first pile in. And they are now all locked in combat. 3 attacks apiece with their Lamprey Bites means 18 attacks total, hitting on 4s, getting 13 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 8 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 8 6-up armor saves. Passing 1 and failing 7. And this dice was knocked over here, but it wouldn't have mattered. They failed at least 6, and there's only 4 models left. And so even if they attempted to re-roll 1 of the 6, and even if this passed, they would still lose all 4 models because they are 2 damage apiece, and the Ravenwing Black Knights only have 2 wounds apiece. So the 4 remaining Black Knights are wiped out, and that is first blood. And now the Screamers will consolidate into combat with that squad of Tactical Marines. And they will consolidate in like so, and they are now engaged with the squad of Tactical Marines. The Dark Angels are not going to waste the command points to use counteroffensive for the Land Raider to attack before the other squad of Screamers, so the Screamers will pile in and fight next. And so all of the Screamers are now within an inch of the Land Raider, or within an inch of a Screamer who's within an inch of a Land Raider. 18 attacks from the Screamers and their Lamprey Bites into the Land Raider, hitting on 4s, getting 11 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 6 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 6 5-up armor saves. Passing 1 and failing 5. So that is 10 damage. So maybe they should have used the command points for counteroffensive on the Land Raider, because the Land Raider is now falling from 12 wounds down to 2 left. But now the Land Raider will get to strike back. So 1 attack from the Land Raider onto the Screamers, hitting on a 6, and it fails to hit. This squad of 5 Tactical Marines will now place their attacks into the Screamers. They are all in range to fight. 6 attacks base, hitting on 3s, getting 5 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master, getting 3 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Still failing to wound. 3 4-up invulnerable saves, failing all 3. So 1 Screamer will be killed off, and 1 more will be reduced from 2 starting wounds down to 1 left. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Screamers lost 1 model this turn, and they have leadership of 7, so it is impossible for them to fail. This squad of Tactical Marines lost 4 models this turn, and the Plasma Cannon has a leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 4-up. But the Dark Angels are going to use the stratagem Insane Bravery for 2 command points, bring them from 6 down to 4. You can automatically pass a single morale test. This stratagem must be used before taking the test, so that lone Plasma Cannon will not be killed off. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch failed to complete Kingslayer, but they will hold on to it. And so at the end of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 1, we currently have a score of 1 victory point for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch thanks to First Blood, and 0 victory points for the Dark Angels. Going into Dark Angels turn 1, a reminder that the Dark Angels have 4 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 4 command points available as well. At the beginning of the turn, the Dark Angels drew 1 new tackle objective card, and they drew Defend Objective 3. Score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 3 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. And Objective Marker 3 is this one back here, currently being controlled by a squad of Tactical Marines. But before we go into the movement phase, we do need to go back to the previous shooting phase from the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch for a moment, because I forgot to resolve the coruscating flames from the 4 pink horrors firing into this Land Raider Redeemer. And as we can see, now that it's down to 2 wounds, that actually could be a very big deal depending on what happens. And since they also had flickering flames active. So we will go back and do that a moment. So 8 shots from the 4 pink horrors Horrors, hitting on 5s. Since they advanced, rerolling 1s, thanks to the Demon Prince. Getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 3rd hit. Strength 3 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 6s, but thanks to Flickering Flames, adding 1 to wound rolls and actually wounding on 5s, and getting 3 wounds. No AP, so 3 2-up armor saves, passing all 3. So no further damage will be taken onto the Land Raider from the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn. So now that that is all taken care of, we can now move on into the movement phase for Dark Angel's turn 1, beginning with this lone plasma cannon, which will remain still. This Predator, which is down to 9 wounds, will also remain still. Belial and the Deathwing Knights will disembark from the Land Raider Redeemer, and they will disembark like so, making sure to stay over an inch away from any enemy units. And now Belial will move up the board up to 5 inches, and Belial will finish his movement like so. Now the squad of Deathwing Knights are going to reposition up to 5 inches, and they will finish their repositioning like so. The Land Raider Redeemer, now that it's down to 2 wounds, will fall back out of combat up to 3 inches. Right to there. The Dark Angels will now use the stratagem Intractable for 2 command points, bring them from 4 down to 2. Use this stratagem after one of your Dark Angels units has fallen back. That unit can still shoot this turn, and this of course will be used on the Land Raider. This Nephilim Jet Fighter will pivot up to 90 degrees to its right and move up the board at least 20 inches but no more than 50, and it will finish its movement like so. The other Nephilim Jet Fighter will now pivot up to 90 degrees to its left and move up the board at least 20 inches but no more than 50, and it will finish its movement like so. This squad of Tactical Marines will fall back out of combat, right to there. This squad of Tactical Marines will remain still, and the Ravenwing Talonmaster will also remain still. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the Land Raider Redeemer firing everything that it has into the squad of 6 Screamers that it just left combat with. Beginning with the 12 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 4 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the 3 rerolls, failing to get any more hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5, thanks to Boon of Change, means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. 3 4-up and vulnerable saves, failing all 3. So the wounded Screamer will be killed off, and 1 more fully healthy Screamer will also be killed off. Now for the 2 Flamestorm Cannons, 2 D6 shots, getting 3 shots. So the Dark Angels are going to use 1 command point, going from 2 down to 1, for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, getting 7 shots total. This weapon automatically hits, so 7 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 6 wounds. 6 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing 3 and failing 3, and they are 2 damage apiece. So 3 fully healthy Screamers will be killed off. Belial will now fire his Stormbolter in rapid fire range into the lone Screamer. 4 shots, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 5, thanks to Boon of Change, means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. 2 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So this Screamer will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1 left. The Ravenwing Talonmaster, who remains still, will fire everything that he has into this squad of 5 Screamers, beginning with the 12 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon, hitting on 3s. He does not have the special ability to reroll hit rolls when remaining still, so getting 7 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 5 wounds. 5 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing all 5. 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 3s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 2 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 3 wounds. 3 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. So the 1 wounded Screamer will be killed off. The Predator will fire everything that it has into Kairos Fateweaver, beginning with the 2 shots from the last cannons, hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. 1 4-up and vulnerable save, which fails, and it will do D6 damage, and it will do 1 damage. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 13 15 wounds, down to 12. 2 D3 shots from the Predator autocannon, getting 4 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 2 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Getting all 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, getting 2 wounds, 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and failing both. And they are 3 damage apiece. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 12 wounds down to 6. The lone plasma cannon will fire supercharged shots into Kairos Fateweaver. And it will fire D3 supercharged shots, getting 2 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s for staying still, getting 2 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds, 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and passing both. This Tactical Marine Squad will fire a crack grenade from the Sergeant and 3 bolt guns in rapid fire range into the squad of 4 Screamers, and the Plasma Cannon will fire supercharged shots into Kairos Fateweaver. And they are going to use the stratagem Weapons from the Dark Age for 1 command point, bringing them from 1 down to 0. Use this stratagem just before a Dark Angel's unit from your army attacks in your shooting phase. Increase the damage characteristic of that unit's plasma weapons by 1 until the end of the phase. For the purpose of the stratagem, a plasma weapon is any weapon profile whose name includes the word plasma. And we will begin with the D3 supercharged shots from the plasma cannon, getting just 1 shot, hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 6 wounds down to 3 left. Now for the crack grenade into the Screamers. 1 shot hitting on a 3, and it hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. 3 bolt guns at rapid fire range means 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1 since they stayed still, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master, getting 1 wound, 1 fail, and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 3 wounds total. 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 2. So 1 more Screamer will go down. This Nephilim jet fighter will fire its 2 Black Sword missile launcher shots into Kairos Fateweaver, its Avenger Mega Bolter into the 1 Screamer, and its Twin Heavy Bolter into the squad of 3 Screamers. So beginning with the 2 Black Sword missile launcher shots, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, thanks to Belial getting a hit and a reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 4, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. 10 shots from the Avenger Mega Bolter into the 1 Screamer, hitting on 4s, and rerolling 1s thanks to Belial. Hitting on 4s, of course, because having to subtract 1 from hit rolls from firing a heavy weapon after moving, and the target is a flying unit, so no strafing run. Getting 3 hits, 1 reroll, and 1 cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, getting another hit, and the reroll, also getting a hit, for 5 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds, 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2, but failing 1. And it's only 1 damage, but that won't matter because the Screamer is down to 1 wound and will be finished off. Now for the Twin Heavy Bolter into the squad of 3 Screamers, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds and a cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, failing to wound. 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So 1 Screamer will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1 left. Finally, this Nephilim jet fighter will fire everything that it has into Kairos Fateweaver, starting with 2 Black Sword missile launcher shots, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial, and failing to hit. Avenger Mega Bolter, 10 shots, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, and another cocked dice. So getting 4 hits, 2 rerolls, and 1 cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, which fails to hit, and the 2 rerolls of 1, getting 1 additional hit, for 5 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds, 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 3 wounds down to 2. Finally, 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s and failing to wound. Going into the assault phase, there's one charge to declare, which will be from the Ravenwing Talonmaster into the squad of 3 Screamers. They are just over 3 inches away, so the Ravenwing Talonmaster will need a 3-inch charge. And here's the charge range, getting 9 inches. And it is now locked in combat like so. Going into the fight phase, the Screamers are too far away from any Tzeentch demon characters, so we do not have to worry about Locus of Trickery for this fight phase, and so we will go right into the Ravenwing Talonmaster, placing his attacks onto the Screamers. 5 attacks with the Heavenfall Blade, hitting on 2s, getting 4 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 3 wounds. 3 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. And it is D3 damage, but the damage does not carry over, so it will simply finish off the Screamer, who is down to 1 wound. And now the Screamers will attack back. 3 attacks apiece with their Lamprey Bites for 6 attacks total, hitting on 4s, getting 1 hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 4, and it wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 1 6-up armor save, which passes. So going into the morale phase, this squad of Screamers lost 3 models this turn, and they have a leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 5-up. And here's their morale check roll, and they pass with a 3, so nothing happens. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Dark Angels are now 1 turn into defending objective 3, and so they will hold on to this tactical objective card. And so at the end of Dark Angels turn 1, the score currently sits at 0 victory points for the Dark Angels and 1 victory point for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 2, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 4 command points available and the Dark Angels have 0 command points available. Also a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are holding on to the tactical objective card Kingslayer from the previous turn, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are currently controlling 3 objective markers, so they drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Overwhelming Firepower. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the shooting phase of your turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the shooting phase of your turn, score D3 victory points instead. Secure Objective 3, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 3 at the end of your turn. And Assassinate, score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy character was destroyed during this turn. If 3 or more enemy characters were destroyed during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. So going into the movement phase, this squad of 10 pink horrors sitting on Objective Marker 6 will remain still. This squad of 10 pink horrors sitting on Objective Marker 5 will also remain still. This squad of 2 Screamers are going to remain locked in combat with the Ravenwing Talonmaster. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings is going to move up to 12 inches up the board, and he will finish his movement like so. This squad of 10 pink horrors are now going to move up the board up to 6 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's their advance roll, and they get to add 1 thanks to the instrument for 7 inches of advance and up to 13 inches of total movement. And they will finish their movement like so. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings is going to move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will finish his movement like so. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe is going to move up to 12 inches up the board, right to there. Kairos Fateweaver will now move up to 6 inches over on the board, and he will also declare an advance. And here's his advance roll, rolling for 4 additional inches for up to 10 inches of total movement. And he will finish his movement like so. Finally, the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff will move up to 12 inches up the board, and he will finish his movement like so. So going into the Psychic phase, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin by using the stratagem Locus of Conjuration for 2 command points, bringing them from 4 down to 2. Use this stratagem at the start of your Psychic phase, select a Tzeentch demon character from your army. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll any failed Psychic tests made for friendly Tzeentch demon units within 6 inches of that model. And this stratagem will be targeted onto the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff, which means it will affect not only himself, but also the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings right next to him, the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe, and Kairos Fateweaver. And so we will begin with this squad of 10 pink horrors attempting to manifest Smite from the demonic icon onto the Ravenwing Talonmaster. Rolling only 1 dice, looking for a 5 or a 6, and it goes off. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 3 mortal wounds. So the Ravenwing Ravenwing Talonmaster will fall from 6 starting wounds down to 3. Now this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Ravenwing Talonmaster. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 6, and it fails with a 5. And the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will use 1 command point going from 2 down to 1 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll. And it will pass with an 8. So we'll do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. So the Ravenwing Talonmaster will fall from 3 wounds down to 2. Now the other Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Infernal Gateway onto the Land Raider Redeemer, which, if successful, will not only affect the Land Raider Redeemer, but will also affect the squad of Tactical Marines in the crater next to it, and the squad of Deathwing Knights. And Infernal Gateway has a warp charge value of 8, and it fails with a 4. But thanks to Locus of Conjuration, he gets to reroll, and now it passes with an 11. So D3 mortal wounds onto the Land Raider, which will do just 1 mortal wound. So the Land Raider will fall from 2 wounds down to 1, and then it will do D3 mortal wounds onto the Tactical Marines, which will do 2, so 2 regular Tactical Marines will be killed off, and then D3 mortal wounds onto the Deathwing Knights, and it will do just 1. So 1 regular Deathwing Knight will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1 left, and it will be this one right here. Kairos Fateweaver will now attempt to manifest Gaze of Fate, and Gaze of Fate has a warp charge value of 6, and it passes with a 7. So later in this turn, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will 1 free dice reroll. Now Kairos Fateweaver will attempt to manifest Bolt of Change onto the Land Raider Redeemer, and Bolt of Change has a warp charge value of 8, and it fails with a 7. Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, instead of using the Locus of Conjuration reroll, which would force them to reroll both dice, they will instead use their Gaze of Fate reroll to just reroll the 2. And here's the reroll, and it does pass with an 11. And it does D3 mortal wounds, but that doesn't matter because the Land Raider is down to just 1 left. So does it explode on a 6? And it does. So D6 mortal wounds onto the Tactical Marines in the crater, and they will take 5 mortal wounds. So this Tactical Marine squad is completely wiped out. And now D6 mortal wounds onto the squad of Deathwing Knights, and they will take 4. So the wounded Deathwing Knight is finished off, 1 fully healthy Deathwing Knight is finished off, and then a 3rd Deathwing Knight is reduced from 2 starting wounds down to 1. And unfortunately for the Dark Angels, Belial is within 6 inches, so he takes D6 mortal wounds, and he will take 4 mortal wounds as well. So Belial will fall from 6 starting wounds down to 2, and then the Land Raider is removed. For his 3rd and final psychic power, Kairos Fateweaver will attempt to manifest Smite onto this Nephilim Jet Fighter because it is the closest visible enemy unit. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 7, and it passes with a 9. So we'll do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 1 mortal wound. So the Nephilim Jet Fighter will fall from 10 starting wounds down to 9. Next, the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstav will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Nephilim Jet Fighter, and he will also attempt to manifest Flickering Flames onto this squad of 10 pink horrors. Beginning with Flickering Flames, which has a warp charge value of 5, and it passes with a 13 thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. And now for Smite, which now has a warp charge value of 8, and that will pass with a 10 thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus and +1 from the Everstav. So we'll do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. So the Nephilim Jet Fighter will fall from 9 wounds down to 8. Finally, the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Row will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Predator because it is the closest enemy unit, and he will also attempt to manifest Boon of Change onto himself. So beginning with Smite, which now has a warp charge value of 9, and it passes with an 11 thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. And it will do D6 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. So the Predator will fall from 9 wounds down to 8. Now for Boon of Change onto himself, which has a warp charge value of 7, and it fails with a 6 from the +2 Psychic Test bonus, but he gets to reroll thanks to Locus of Conjuration. And here's the reroll, and it will pass with a 7. So here's D3 on the table, rolling a 3, which is Iron Skin, plus 1 toughness. So until the start of the next Chaos Demons of Tzeentch psychic phase, the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will be toughness 8 instead of toughness 7. Going into the shooting phase, this squad of 10 pink horrors is the only unit that will be able to fire, and they will fire all of their coruscating flames into this squad of 5 tactical marines. 20 shots with the coruscating flames hitting on 5s since they advanced, but re-rolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince. And this is a cocked dice down here. So getting 5 hits, 4 re-rolls, and of course the cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, failing to hit. And the 4 re-rolls, getting 1 additional hit for 6 hits total. Strength 3 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 5s, but adding 1 to wound rolls thanks to Flickering Flames. And getting 4 wounds. No AP, so 4. 3 up armor saves. Passing 2 and failing 2. So 2 regular Marines will go down. Going into the assault phase, we have multiple charges to declare, first of which is this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will declare multi-charge into the Ravenwing Talon Master and the squad of 3 tactical Marines. This Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will declare multi-charge into the Nephilim Jet Fighter, which is down to 8 wounds, and the Predator, which is also down to 8 wounds. The Nephilim Jet Fighter will be the primary target. The Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab will declare a multi-charge into the Nephilim Jet Fighter, which will be the primary target, and also the Deathwing Knights in the crater. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will wait to declare its charge until after the Lords of Change have charged, because that could determine where he can go. Because if the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery makes its multi-charge, then it will be impossible for this Demon Prince to also make a multi-charge into the Nephilim Jet Fighter and the Deathwing Knights. But we will begin with this Demon Prince and its multi-charge into the Ravenwing Talon Master and the squad of tactical Marines. Its primary target is the Ravenwing Talon Master, just in case I forgot to mention that before. No Overwatch from the Talon Master since it's already locked, but the Plasma Cannon from the Tactical Marine Squad will fire D3 supercharged shots, getting 1 shot, hitting on a 6, re-rolling 1s, and failing to hit. The squad of Tactical Marines is too far away for grenades, so 2 rapid-fire bolt guns hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s, no re-rolling of 1s because they fell back in their previous turn, so all fail to hit. And here's the charge range, getting 9 inches. And the Demon Prince is now locked in combat with both. So next we will do this Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab, and its multi-charge into the Nephilim Jet Fighter and the squad of Deathwing Knights. Overwatch from the Nephilim Jet Fighter, beginning with the 2 Black Sword missile launcher shots hitting on 6s, failing to hit. 10 shots from the Avenger Mega Bolter hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 1 hit and 2 re-rolls. And here's the 2 re-rolls, still failing to hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 5, and it fails to wound. And now 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s, failing to hit but getting 2 re-rolls. And here's the 2 re-rolls, still failing to hit. And here's the charge range, getting the max 12 inches. And the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery will make it in like so. He was only 8.5 inches away from the Deathwing Knights, and so even with going through the crater, the 10-inch charge was still more than enough. So now we'll resolve the charge from the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe into both the Nephilim Jet Fighter and the Predator. The Nephilim Jet Fighter can no longer overwatch because it's locked, so only the Predator will fire, starting with 2 last cannons hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 1 re-roll, and here's the re-roll, still failing to hit. 2 D3 shots from the Predator auto cannon, getting 4 shots, hitting on 6s, re-rolling 1s, and failing to hit. And here's the charge range, getting 6 inches. And the Lord of Change is now locked in combat with both. So finally, this Demon Prince will declare a charge solely into the Nephilim Jet Fighter. No Overwatch anymore, so here's the charge range, getting 10 inches. And he will make it into combat like so. Moving into the fight phase, we will begin with the Locus of Trickery. Rolling 2 dice, take away the highest. Hit rolls of 1 will not count. So we will begin with this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, placing all of its attacks onto the Nephilim Jet Fighter. 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 7 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 5 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 5 up armor saves. Passing 2, but but failing 3, and they are 2 damage apiece. So 6 damage total, which will drop the Nephilim Jet Fighter from 8 wounds down to 2. The Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab is going to split its attacks between the Deathwing Knights and the Nephilim Jet Fighter. It will place 3 attacks onto the Deathwing Knights, and it will place 2 attacks onto the Nephilim Jet Fighter. Starting with the 2 attacks with the Staff of Tzeentch onto the Nephilim Jet Fighter, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince, getting 2 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, and failing to wound. So the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use their last command point, going from 1 down to 0, for a command reroll to reroll one of the 3s. And here's the reroll, still rolling a 3, so it fails to wound. So now for the 3 attacks onto the Deathwing Knights, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 3 up invulnerable saves, passing 2 but failing 1. So that will finish off the 1 wounded Deathwing Knight. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will place all 5 of his attacks onto the Nephilim Jet Fighter. 5 attacks with the Staff of Tzeentch, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 5th hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, getting 3 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 3 5-up armor saves, failing all 3. And they are 3 damage apiece, so that's 9 damage total, but the Nephilim Jet Fighter only has 2 wounds left. So does it crash and burn on a 6? And it does not. So the Nephilim Jet Fighter will lose its last 2 wounds and then be removed. And now the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will consolidate up to 3 inches, and he will finish like so. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will place 6 of its 7 attacks onto the squad of 3 Tactical Marines, and it will place 1 of its 7 attacks onto the Ravenwing Talonmaster. Beginning with the 6 attacks onto the Tactical Marines, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 6 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 2 5-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So the final regular Tactical Marine is killed off. Now for the 1 attack into the Ravenwing Talonmaster, hitting on a 2, getting a hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. So now moving into units that did not charge, beginning with the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, they only have 1 squad that was already locked, which is this squad of 2 Screamers, and they will place all their attacks into the Ravenwing Talonmaster. 6 attacks total with their Lamprey Bites, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince, getting 4 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, getting 3 wounds, minus 3 AP, so 3 6-up armor saves, and failing all 3. They are 2 damage apiece. So does the Ravenwing Talonmaster explode? And he does not, needing a 6. So the Ravenwing Talonmaster will lose its last 2 wounds and be killed off. And now the Screamers will consolidate up to 3 inches up the board, and they will finish like so. Next, these 2 Tactical Marines will pile in and then fight against the Demon Prince. And they are all in range. 3 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. The Predator will now place its attacks onto the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword. 3 attacks base, hitting on 6s, getting 1 hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on a 5, and it fails to wound. Finally, the 2 Deathwing Knights will pile in and fight against the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery, and they will now place their attacks. Beginning with the Knight Master and his 3 attacks with the Flail of the Unforgiven, hitting on 3s, rerolling fails thanks to Belial. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s and failing to wound. Now for 2 attacks from the regular Deathwing Knight, hitting on 3s, rerolling fails, getting 2 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing both. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Deathwing Knights lost 3 models this turn, but thanks to their ability Inner Circle, they automatically pass morale checks. Finally, this squad of Tactical Marines also lost 3 models this turn, and their Sergeant has a leadership of 8, so they could fail on a 6. So here's their morale check roll, and they pass with a 2, so nothing happens. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Overwhelming Firepower, they failed to complete Secure Objective 3, but they did complete Assassinate for 1 victory point. And at this point, they will throw overwhelming firepower away. And so at the end of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, turn 2, the score currently sits at 2 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch and 0 victory points for the Dark Angels. Going into Dark Angels turn 2, a reminder that the Dark Angels have 0 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch also have 0 command points available. A reminder that the Dark Angels are currently holding on to the active tactical objective card, Defend Objective 3, and the Dark Angels are currently only controlling 1 objective marker, thanks to the Predator and Nephilim Jet Fighter both being within 3 inches of the center of Objective Marker 2, which the Lord of Change is also within 3 inches of the center of. So they drew 1 new tactical objective card, and they drew Master the Warp. Score 1 victory point if you manifested or denied a psychic power during this turn. If you manifested or denied 3 or more psychic powers, score D3 victory points instead. And objective marker 3 is this one right here, currently no longer being controlled by anybody. And at this point, the Dark Angels are going to concede the game. This, of course, will mean that neither side scored Slay the Warlord, but the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will score Linebreaker, which means that we will have a final score of 3 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch and 0 victory points for the Dark Angels, with a major victory for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch thanks to a concession from the Dark Angels at the beginning of Dark Angels turn 2. And so, now that it's been announced that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have secured a major victory thanks to concession at the beginning of Dark Angels turn 2 with a final score of 3-0 in terms of victory points in Tzeentch's favor, I can go over 1 or 2 of my final thoughts on this game. First and foremost, of course, is the main reason for concession, and it's pretty obvious after all of what happened within this battle report, but the Dark Angels are actually very close to being tabled. The only non-wounded unit in their army is a Nephilim Jet Fighter, which is unable to hold or secure objective markers, so it will be completely useless for helping to generate new tactical objective cards. And speaking of which, the other main reason for concession is Tzeentch is currently controlling 4 objective markers, and next turn probably could be controlling 5, while the Dark Angels are currently only controlling 1, and they're about to lose that as well. And actually, now that I just said that, the Nephilim Jet Fighter cannot hold or control objective markers, which means objective marker 2 that the Predator is sitting on is actually being contested. And so the Dark Angels are actually controlling 0 objective markers this turn, so they should not have even drawn Master the Warp. Not that it matters, because it was a completely useless them as they have no psychers, but they actually should have drawn no new tactical objective cards this turn. The Dark Angels actually cannot generate any more objective cards this game, because there's no way that their ground forces are going to survive another turn, not with both Lords of Change and the Demon Prince moving up to take on the Predator, Belial, and the Deathwing Knights. There is just no way between their psychic powers and their close combat attacks. There is no way for the Dark Angels to survive this other than their Nephilim Jet Fighter, which can't even hold objective markers in the first place. So I do apologize about that. I should not have drawn that tactical objective card. Not that it matters, since the Dark Angels conceded anyways, but just to reiterate, the Dark Angels got crushed pretty badly in this battle. The fact that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch stole the initiative and then had such a good first turn caused massive problems for the Dark Angels, all the way from getting off their various psychic powers to both squads of Screamers making their charges in turn 1. That's definitely a benefit of having a 16-inch movement, being able to move across the 24-inch no man's land and still making decent charges. It makes such a huge difference. And then the fact that the Land Raider Redeemer was not able to use its Flamestorm cannons in Overwatch, it made a huge difference, because I am sure that had the Flamestorm cannons been able to fire, at least a couple of those Screamers would have been killed off in Overwatch. And instead, none were. Simply one took 1 wound, and that was it. So this will be the last battle report in Group 5. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this battle report and the group as a whole. Expect the post-game show with some discussion about the armies to come out soon after this battle report is posted, probably within the next week, and stay tuned for the next one.